Alright, welcome back to another update video. This one's about 2 months late, but nonetheless, we've got an update video. So this demo map is actually 2 months old at this point. It tests a few features that are like highly requested by everybody. So that being said, we have the laser eye over here. Oops, wrong button. The laser eye was definitely a commonly requested feature from Shining Force fans. Basically, this is a character that kind of attacks everybody in these all of these tiles here. It just kind of cannons them all down, whether they're friend or foe. And so that's what the laser eye is in short. But basically, that was kind of a commonly requested feature, and it was also commonly requested to make it at least somewhat flexible to use. And yes, it is very flexible to use. As of right now, the default laser eye, you can mess around with it however you want, but all of these tiles are flagged as laser eye tiles, so that means that this laser eye will attack those. You can override it with an algorithm. If you want your laser eye to be mobile, you're probably going to need an algorithm. So that's something that you're going to want to do. You can do that. Prism flowers are going to work the same way, where because they're different, and because I actually know the math and algorithm behind those ones will have an algorithm work very similar to the laser eye. So basically, laser eye is in, it's moddable, you can change it around however you want. Cooldown timer, you can add multiple laser eyes per battle, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. It works pretty good, and overall I am happy with the way that turned out. So anyway, with the laser eye, of course, it brings the ability to target both enemies and allies. So if there is a spell or a weapon or something that allows you to attack your friends later on, you can do that. Certain AI with enemies and stuff can, of course, do that as well. Next thing is I updated the blaze animation. So if I go ahead and cast Blaze level 2 here. For someone with absolutely no art skill whatsoever, I think it turned out pretty good. I'd have to say it's pretty good compared to what I thought it was going to be and everything. So that's great. You know, we got working Blaze animation now. The next thing is AoEs. So another commonly requested feature was for attacks to be able to AoE. So we've got a normal attack here, and it can do AoE damage. And basically, I just added that stat to the global stat total function. Basically, it's something where you can I don't know how to put it. Basically what it does is every single character in the game has a stat. A base stat, and every weapon and item has a stat, and all that stuff. So basically what happens is it takes the character's base stat plus the weapons and items that they have equipped, plus any buffs or debuffs or anything. It adds all that together, and you get a stat total. And so basically I just went ahead and added AoE to the stat total. So if I go ahead and just equipped his normal weapon here, he can only target one of these guys. But if I go ahead and equipped him with the Ring of Cheats here, then it gives an AoE, and then that also stacks with this Cheater's arrow here. So if I equip both of those, then I get an even bigger AoE. So that's kind of how that works. AoEs too are capped at size 3. You can uncap it if you want, but you'd need to make a bigger cursor sprite and all that stuff for it, so that's why I didn't, that's why I kept it at 3. So anyway, if we go ahead and equip him with the Cheater's Arrow, we also have the Toxic Ring here, and that's because I finally added poison to the game. So the way poison works for my game is it takes, anytime a character hits, lands a hit, it will look at, if they manage to perform a status effect or not. So in the case of poison, it looks at the character's chance to poison, minus the enemy's poison resistance. So, that being said, if that turns out to be 0, then obviously no poison's going to happen. But if it's higher than 0, then a random number generator gets rolled, and if that number is lower than the if the random number generator checks out, then it'll be a poisonous hit. If not, then it won't be. And that's kind of how that works. So if I go ahead and attack here, we're gonna poison all of these guys. If they die, it doesn't bother telling you that they're poisoned or fell asleep or whatever. That's just kind of space waster if they're dead anyway. So anyway, that's how that works. Now, a lot of people have been asking for the Legacy Shining Force method. So, status effects being afflicted instead of by chance every hit, being afflicted for critical hits, and having the crit not actually do crit damage and all that stuff. So, I went ahead and coded that as well. There is a game setting in a config file somewhere that you can set it to that. You can change that variable, and it'll set it so that crits will do the status effect and not perform the actual crit damage. So that's in there as well. And yeah, so the next thing that we added will probably be popping up here in a few seconds. There it is. We finally got hidden units. They were another very commonly requested feature, so yes, we finally have hidden units, guys. You're welcome. So they will appear at the start of every round if they can. Right now it's flagged for the battle state. By default it's flagged for battle state. However, if you set their reveal ID to something that's not an obtainable battle state, so if you said it's like 10,000 or something and whatnot, you can actually force them to spawn in from certain events, character deaths, and if a character is like near them or whatever, however you want them to spawn in, you can basically set them up to spawn in however you want. And yeah, so that's kind of how that works. The other thing that I added was gold, so enemies will actually drop gold now. It was kind of long overdue, and so that's in there now. Enemies will drop gold. Players can actually drop gold too, but by default, like every character can drop gold, but by default it's 0. So if you somehow set that gold to whatever I don't know what people are going to play around with that, but if you want to kill your own guys, farm gold or something, or I don't know, but it's in there, so it's usable for something. And anyway, this is the Blaze level 1 animation I came up with. which again turned out a lot better than I thought it would. It's still not the best, but it works. And anyway, those wolves over there, or that last wolf, should die by poison. I set poison for demo's sake to really high, just so that we could see this wolf die here. So he took 15 points of damage from the poison, which by default it's going to be set to 2, but he took damage and he has been defeated, so now he goes swirly swirly bang. And yeah, so status effects can kill you too. It won't drop your health to the negatives and stuff. I didn't forget about that. But anyway, something else I added is stats for crit, double, counter, block, and magic crit chances. So if you wanted to, you can up a certain character's crit chance, or you know, double chance or something. If you wanted to add like a shield item that increases block chance, you can do that too. You know, counter sword, I think, counter sword and critical sword from Shining Force. I don't know. I don't do much modding with. I don't do any modding with you know, the ROM or anything, but if you want it, like, I'm pretty sure they increase counter and crit chance respectively, but I don't know. But you know, if they don't, well, they can now, and that's the important thing. So all of these stats and everything are not going to be displayed in game. You know, a lot of them are just going to be stuff for programmers and stuff to screw around with. You know, things that just make life way easier. I've you know, people mention how having a lot of stats in the game, a lot of stats and variables and all kinds of stuff, can make the game very complicated, and yes, I agree with that. However, you know, having something like a poison resistance, yes, Shining Force didn't really have a poison resistance or poison chance or any of that, but at the same time, you know, having that variable in there doesn't mean you have to use it. And two, it also makes it so that if you wanted to use it, it's there, and you know, if a certain boss or something needed to be immune to poison, then you could add that fairly easily. So that's how that works. We got the laser eye here, gonna blast all of my characters here. And it will actually target enemies as well, but there was no enemies in that attack range, unfortunately. But yeah, so I think that's about it for this update. I can't remember what else I added, it's been a while, but yeah, so I mean, I guess I could just say we have a new ring called the Toxic Ring. 100% chance to poison, because why not? Cheater's Sword, Ring of Cheats, and all that stuff increases AoE damage. Obviously, that's not going to be in the game at all, but whatever. It looks cool for now. So anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.